So I'd like to discuss modules 16, 1, and 17, which have to do with bottom-up processing, top-down processing, and module 17 has to do with perceptual set. I'd like to put them all together, and if you can just follow me on this diagram. So I'd like you to think about the factors about bottom-up processing, top-down processing, and perceptual set as factors that influence our perception. So let's start up here with the fact that we are processing sensory information on a pretty consistent basis, and that for the most part sensation and perception, they occur together, and what we're trying to do is kind of separate them out, looking at it in slow motion, so to speak. However, even though they occur together, there are different ways for perception, for sensation and perception to interact, and there are different perceptual processes that psychologists identify. And we're going to oversimplify it. I believe this gets a lot more complex for psychophysicists and people who study this in great detail. So we're just learning the basics. So this interaction, the reason it doesn't always occur in the same exact way is because there seems to be two types of processes that we use. I want you to realize that the processes interact with each other, and we often use both of them. However, at certain times, we will emphasize one over the other, or one will guide our perceptions more strongly than the other. So there could be questions that you should be able to answer that ask you to identify which type of processing is being more utilized or most utilized. Okay, so here's the definitions of each one, and we went over that in class, okay, pretty thoroughly. Now, perceptual set. This is what a perceptual set is. It's this definition. And I guess the question is, why? Why do we have a readiness to interpret stimulus in a certain way, right? So if you just follow this, I'm taking you through the process of kind of unpacking this definition and figuring out what it's really about. Well, we all bring certain expectations to the objects we perceive, okay? And those expectations are influenced by our experiences, our memories, our beliefs, and our knowledge. So the point is that all of these cognitive factors can influence, at the end of the day, what it is I think I perceive, okay? So this is the key. The stimulus is not the only thing that actually influences our perception. It's not as if, again, we are objectively looking and interpreting objective reality, that which is outside of us, objects, in an unproblematic way. We bring ourselves to sensation and perception for better or for worse. Sometimes it helps us, sometimes it doesn't. So let's give you an example. Why do they often use ambiguous characters, ambiguous images when dealing with top-down processing and perceptual set? Because I want you to always link perceptual set with top-down processing, okay? Perceptual set, again, is a tendency. Top-down is a process we use. So if we only looked at this is an ambiguous figure, right? If you blocked these two pictures and you're only given this. However, if I showed you this picture first, you might be more likely to say, and people are in studies, that this is a woman leaning over, right? If we showed you this picture first, people are much more likely to see a man's face. And you can also do it like this. If I just showed you this picture and didn't show you these, and I said, oh, do you see the person's face? You might be more likely to say yes. It doesn't always work, but again, it's the idea that your expectation, your knowledge, your experience, right? So if you start here with this picture, in my first example, that's experience, right? You bring that experience to interpreting this object. So in essence, it's not just this stimulus that helps to direct what you think you see. It's exposure to this stimulus, right? And that's prior experience. The other thing is, if I tell you, if I block these two pictures out and I tell you, do you see the man, right? It's about expectation and knowledge, and a lot of other factors, by the way. So that's why perceptual set is important, and that's its connection to top-down processing.